Thank you for listening to this training audio. This recording is by members of the youth team and guest youth leaders Lucy Skelton, Ali Demet and John Robb, speaking about moving youth work online in response to the coronavirus outbreak. We hope it informs, inspires and encourages you to seek new ways to reach and disciple young people.
Welcome to a conversation about being online with youth groups and how they might meet. This is a little bit off the cuff. So conversation is very natural, but the hope and aim of it is that we are gaining some wisdom and sort of guidance from guys that are exploring it, are doing it, and I guess hopefully informing and inspiring people to try and connect with young people online. I'm Ben. I'm the youth advisor for Blackburn Diocese. Guys, where are you all from?
I'm at St James's Clitheroe. I'm the youth minister. I've been in post for 5 weeks, so this is fun. I don't even know my young people really yet, so it's quite exciting to be doing lots of reinventing sort of stuff and thinking how we can do it. But yeah, so that's me.
John?
Yeah, my name's John. Yeah, I'm at St Andrews in Leyland. I help run one of their youth groups. I'm just a lay leader though, so I'm not professional like you guys. So yeah.
Aww. So I'm Ali. I'm the youth coordinator at St Thomas's Church in Lancaster. Been in isolation for 7 days, so I'm just glad to be outside. So my poor family have still got another 7 days to go. So I'll be inside in a second. We did our first live Zoom with our young people last night, so we can chat about that. I feel like I'm living on my life on Zoom at the moment. So nice to meet you guys, and looking forward to hearing what you've got to say as well.
Last but not least there.
My name's Andy. I'm on the youth team at Blackburn Diocese, particularly focused on the youth provision development project. That's who I am. I'm just excited to hang out and just see how people, just trying to reach out to the young people at this time and see how we can just kind of encourage each and everyone who's in the same boat at the moment.
So amazing. You guys are all in different churches, all in different places. Some of you newer, some of you volunteers, some have already done some things. What have you got planned, I guess, is the first question. So how are you? Obviously, this is kind of thrust upon us. School's closed tomorrow, but we've kind of been advised to work from home basically this week. Yeah, how's that started to shape your thinking about how you contact your young people, how you lead your youth groups, stuff like that?
Well, we've been, as a staff team, we've been looking at this anyway for probably since nearing the end of last week as things started to heat up a bit. And we already live stream anyway on a Sunday. So that was quite an obvious thing to carry on doing, although the implications of having people coming into the church to do that and things has resulted in sort of lots of risk assessments and stuff like that. But one of the things that me and the children's worker have been talking about is how we take what we do online. Now, for me, that's a lot easier because I'd already sort of made the youth work so that I wasn't planning lots of different sessions during the week anyway. I was planning sort of one thing and then adapting it for different groups. So for me, that's just been a case of going, okay, right, well, I'll just put up one thing. I'll just create one session for them and just make sure there's elements for those who maybe want to go a bit deeper or those who are sort of looking, and so it sort of encompasses all of that. And then it's going to follow whatever the talk is on the Sunday. And then our operations manager, she's so brilliant, she's so organised. She's actually created a timetable of all the online stuff. So it's like church is happening, and there's a timetable for the week of when things are going to be up online and stuff. So she's given me a day of Tuesday. Now I think that's quite flexible. I can change it if I want to. So it means Tuesday will be the day for all of this week's stuff to go live. So we've been talking about that sort of for a week, but it does feel a little bit like we're all rushing around trying to really quickly organise it all, and at the same time trying to work out all the different aspects, because we don't just want to be giving them stuff, but we want to be connecting with them at the same time, and that's obviously a slightly different thing than just saying here's some links you can go on. So that's kind of what we've been thinking about this week.
Amazing. John, what are your group meets when, sir, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, we've not met yet. We wanted to have a good plan in place before we did. I guess we're thinking a few things. We'd really like to try and all get together once a week, as we would have for youth group and for Bible study. So we've been working out how to do that. I'm really excited to hear about how Ali's Zoom meeting went. We were planning on using Zoom, and I think one thing to remember is the need to get consent and permission from parents and guardians to allow the young people to use these kind of online services. And so we've begun to do that. And then someone pointed out that there was an age restriction on Zoom. Now, we're not sure whether that's true. We've written to Zoom. We're trying to find out. We know that Zoom have changed some of their policies, particularly around letting schools and teaching groups use Zoom. And we're hopeful that that might still be the way that we go. If not, Google Hangouts only has an age limit of 13 plus, so we'll use that as a backup. But the functionality of Zoom is much better, and you can password protect your meetings. So we felt like that was a really safe option. So that will allow us to get together as a big group, we hope, and we will do games together online. We'll then do a Bible study, and the way we're going to do a Bible study is to use some free online video resources that we'll get everyone to watch, and then we'll come back together in the Zoom meeting, and we've prepped some questions that will go ahead with that. And then obviously we'll pray together as we usually would have. So we're hoping to keep those meetings pretty normal. I guess, obviously we're just not going to physically be together. I think we're going to talk about games and stuff later, but ideas of being able to do games and keep that kind of thing as normal as possible, with everyone just sat in their own bedrooms or front rooms or wherever they're going to be. Yeah, and then beyond that, it's also thinking about how we stay a bit more connected than we perhaps normally would throughout the rest of the week. We're acutely aware that lots of these young people are going to be stuck at home, perhaps on their own or with their parents, feeling isolated. And so having ways that we can easily have little pick-up conversations between the other members of the group, but also with some of the leaders chipping in as well. And we think Discord is going to be a good way of doing that. Again, it's suitable for 13 plus, so we feel like it ticks the boxes. And I think particularly aware for those at GCSE and A-level who are going to be feeling particularly uncertain about everything that's going on at the moment. We want to be available as much as possible for people to chat to. And, where normally that would have been in person, we want to be available online to do that. So, yeah.
Amazing. Just remind me, what's the age group that your group's for? Is it 14?
Yeah, we're 14 to 18s are the group that I'm involved in.
Okay, so it's a little bit easier from that kind of...
Yeah, well, having the 13 plus restriction on lots of pieces of software means we get round that. Our 11 to 14 group are having to think even harder about this, and they haven't yet got a solution. So I'm keen to hear what other people are doing.
Interesting. Fascinating. Amazing. Ali, you look like your home, mate. Are you in a position to talk?
Yeah, so we kind of tried to get ahead of the curve a little bit to see this coming. So we've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks. We've been chatting with the young people about it for a couple of weeks, looking at Zoom in particular. We got consent out pretty early to parents. That was last week. So we had all that coming back, approval from the PCC, all that malarkey. In terms of the age restriction, that's actually just something that got flagged today in our other online group I'm at with some other Anglicans. And so Jimmy Dale, who's head of the National Youth Evangelism Officer or whatever, they seem to be happy on a national level that as long as it's been approved by PCCs, as long as we're following our usual safeguarding procedures, as long as parents are aware it's their responsibility for how the young people use the platform, they can put parental controls in place so that they're only using the platform when it's our session and then coming off. They're more than happy nationally for us to be using Zoom. So that's not official, but that's from the chat that we were talking about that. So that seems like it's okay. So we don't need to worry. And I think then that then solves the issue of, year 7s and 8s as well. Our group, it's cool how God does stuff, isn't he? How he moves things on. He gave us a really clear word to move all our groups onto one night, which we did back in September, and then to lose age groups completely and to work more in terms of an offer. So we would have half a night
fun games open to everybody, and then have like food together, and then break down into like worship and Bible study and small group discussion, again for all ages, but more specific within the small group setting. So people would stay for some of the night or all of the night, or come for the later part. And we've been doing that since January. So that means, again, like you were saying, Lucy, we've only on one night's provision, and that's the model we've been doing since January. So the young people are in that model, which is really good. So in terms then of moving online, that then is good in terms of we're going to do Thursday nights, our usual night, and then we're also going to be live streaming in some capacity as church on a Sunday morning at 10, just have one meeting, and then that's just for an hour. And then we're going to have 2 Zoom meetings off the back of that, one for our younger youth, 11 to 14s, and then one for our older youth, the 14 to 18s, as our normal provision, but just for half an hour, and just be talking about what we've just learned, just been discussing in the service, the live stream. So our Thursday program, we're going to keep running with what we were running. Again, God's gone really ahead of us. We did all last half term, we were looking at Psalm 23. I thought it was because everyone was stressed out with exams, that's why God led us to that. And when you read it, you think, oh my goodness, like he's totally led us to where we need to be right now, working through all of that. We've done the whole psalm already, and we were just reviewing it and looking at how they can be a blessing to others. So it's crazy when you look at that psalm and where we're at right now, the valley of the shadow of death, and we cannot dwell in the house of the Lord physically, and yet we will dwell in it forever, together, even online. That's been really, really good. So we met last night. It worked really well. We only met for an hour. Definitely could do longer. I think an hour and a half would be perfect. There's lots of things you can set up within Zoom to make it work really well, so it's not chaos. Like having a waiting room. We met as team 15 minutes earlier to pray, and then admitted the young people from the waiting room. And you have everyone muted on entry is a really good thing to do. And you can also use it so that you can mute everybody and then they can't unmute themselves. Because I stupidly told them that they could hit the space bar to unmute themselves in an easy way, and then everyone's like, hello, hello, hello. And I'm like, oh no. And then I realized I could mute them all without them being able to unmute themselves. We've bought a premium account as church, and we're just using the one account, and we've booked it out almost as if you're booking a room on Church Suite. So groups can book out. So I've booked out Zoom for our youth those times, which means then we don't have to worry about having to hang up or reconnect or any of that. And there's also then the option of breakout rooms, which we used last night. So then rather than having to like do something offline, like you're saying, John, about having to watch something else and then coming back, you can still do that in a breakout space. And that can also be age specific then as well. You could divide people in that way. The only thing that wasn't so great about that was that if people were logging in and out, so my daughter, for example, she was on her iPad, then her iPad died, so then she re-entered through her phone, but then it still said that she was there in both capacities, so it was trying to work out which one was her. So it was a little bit messy, but they really enjoyed it. I think they needed that sense of this is some form of normal when everything else isn't normal, especially for the year 11s and 13s last night. But even the year 7s, I were really, just like, what's going on? I'm not going to finish year 7. It's just really weird. So I think the more that we can make things seem normal, and yet at the same time, I think now is the time for this generation to really step up. I think it's something significant, the fact that these guys don't seem to be as susceptible to this sickness. Is it when Gen Z is going to save us all? I don't know. So I think our time is now to really encourage and empower and equip these guys to serve and be hands and feet of Jesus in our community. So and not just to be in a little bubble by themselves. But yeah, it was good. I've sent some stuff through to Ben, some stuff that I got sent through from the Worcester Diocese, and also just some pointers from things that we did last night, and also that another group down south did. The guy who wrote that up is from the guy down south, and when he says another group did this, that was our group. So no, definitely it was really worthwhile doing, and I feel like I'm living my life on Zoom, but it's good. Yeah.
I think chances are that's probably going to be a universal feeling for a lot of us. I've been sat in one room for the last 2.5 days going, okay, so I'm going to talk to someone on Zoom, and I think it's probably that universal feeling. We've just to kind of build off what Ali said in terms of the stuff from Simon down in Worcester. We've compiled a bit of a document. This is mainly not for you guys here, but mainly for the people that will watch this later. But we've got a document snappily titled COVID-19 Self-Isolation and Ministry with Young People. Nice big title, but actually trying to gather some of what we've kind of the theoretical stuff. We're now talking a little bit more practically, but like the theoreticals of Zoom, group chats, kind of Facebook Live, all that sort of stuff, and try to put it in one place, looking at the big sort of safeguarding, all that stuff. Also, some of the things that you might be able to do with social media.
We hope that you've enjoyed listening to this talk. For more resources and training, please visit the resource area at bdeducation.org.uk.